Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. We straight gangsters over here,
Straight
man.
gangster.
Ah.
Yeah, welcome back. You are listening to Scout Team Radio. We bring it to you hot and live each and every morning, Monday through Friday, right here on 12-Ounce Sports Radio. And we're back after a long week off. I am one of your gracious hosts. They call me Loudbeard.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
Yes, that is all true. And there is a man on the other microphone. You might remember him as
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is your boy Chris America coming to you live this Monday. It is October the 21st, 2019, Loudbeard, and it is good to be back. It is good to have you back. First of all, happy belated birthday, sir.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Second of all, go Nationals. Congratulations on the sweep.
Yep. Yeah, they're pretty impressive, aren't they? Yep.
They did look like an unstoppable force. They had the rest going into the game, and they never looked back. St. Louis and Atlanta, I don't even think Atlanta would have stood a chance. Do you?
Not the way the Nationals played.
Did we know the Nationals were this good going into the playoffs?
No. The Nationals are stepping up at the right time, and that is go time in the playoffs. And yeah, this was a pleasant surprise, and I'm pretty excited about watching this series coming up, starting tomorrow against the Astros. Which, in another set of news, it's not the Yankees.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Congrats to you, a Yankee hater like myself. The Astros go down, but I don't know if that's a good thing for you and your Nationals, because I do feel like you would have had a better chance at beating the Yankees, but that's sports. That's what you want. You want the best team versus the second best team. And right now, the Astros and the Nationals look like the two best teams in baseball.
Yeah, they really do. And the Astros have been hot for quite a while now, much more so than the Nationals going into this. And the pitching for the Astros has been spot on. Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander. This is a team to be reckoned with. So I am a little nervous for the Nationals. This is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but may the best team win.
Well, Loudbeard, when you're facing the Astros, your Nationals are going to have a little problem. Do you know what that little problem is?
What would that little problem be?
That little problem would be Jose Altuve.
He is a little problem.
He's a little problem.
He is a very little problem, but he ends up being a big problem. It's ironic, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's like rain on my wedding day.
Yeah, like 10,000 spoons when all you needed was a knife.
It's so ironic.
It's like meeting the man of my dreams. And then I meet his beautiful Mrs. Loudbeard.
There you go. Well, that is ironic, all of that. I will have to admit it. But, yeah, Jose Altuve, God, that guy's just so good. He gets named the ALCS player of the championship, whatever they call it. How did they do an MVP on that? Like, I feel like you shouldn't name an MVP on a series until, like, everything's all said and done. But I could be wrong. I mean, the ALCS MVP, but you still have the World Series, so you can't even celebrate because you got to be back in game mode because you're going up against the tough Nationals. But Jose Altuve is that good. You just got to give him the recognition he deserves.
Now, do they do that? I don't ever remember. Do they do that in the NFC, AFC championship games?
I don't think so. I don't think they give like a NFC MVP of the no. It's weird. Is that weird?
But baseball is, out of all sports, baseball celebrates every single milestone you get. You win the division, guess what we're doing? We're putting on the goggles. we're putting plastic all over the locker room, and we're spreading champagne everywhere. What was that? You won the first round of the playoffs? Let's put on the goggles again. Spread some plastic sheeting. We're celebrating. That's just kind of baseball. Kind of does it different from pretty much every other sport. I can't think of any sport where they celebrate that hard for every single milestone you reach in the season.
Yeah, it almost makes me want to invest money into that goggles company, man. Those guys are making good money.
That or the plastic sheet company.
Oh, yeah, because that's totally, you throw it away and you're done, and you have to roll out more sheets. That plastic sheet company, they're making some big bucks off of this Major League Baseball. This is good investment advice. That's what we were going for this morning.
We can't forget the champagne. The champagne company. We're going to open a company called Goggles, Plastic Sheets, and Champagne. APC.
That $1 million idea right there.
Yeah.
You nailed
you
it.
down with APC? You know me.
It's unbelievable. Now, do you? Now, I want to get your honest assessment on this series. So, who's going to be wearing the goggles, spraying the champagne, and rolling out the plastic sheets at the end of this one? Do you believe it will be the Nationals, or do you believe it'll be the Astros?
Well, I think this is a great World Series matchup because we have two amazing pitching lineups on either side, on either team. So you would think, at least when the starting pitchers are in, unless we have like a Clayton Kershaw type meltdown, we're going to see a lot of good pitching and a lot of low scoring. So it's going to come down to who's got the better bats. And I'm sorry to say it, man, Houston just seems to have that edge, especially with Jose Altuve on their team, starting things off, getting their fan base and their batting electrified.
Is it because the Nationals didn't re-sign Bryce Harper? Is that what you're saying, that they just don't have the bats to hang with this Astros team?
I don't know about that because, Bryce Harper freed up some money for them to go grab some other guys and pay some of that pitching staff a little bit more money.
Yep.
Or maybe because they paid that pitching staff a little more money, they didn't have any money laying around extra for Bryce Harper, and that's why he went to the Phillies.
Yeah, I've got the old head and heart dilemma, right? So my head's telling me, using my logic, it's telling me that the Houston Astros are the better team and that the Houston Astros will win. But my heart is telling me something different, and sometimes you have to go with your heart. Maybe it's a gut feeling. Maybe it's a little emotional connection with this team. But my heart is telling me this is going to be the Nationals. But either way, this is at least a 6-game series in my humble baseball opinion, Chris America.
So what you're saying is your mind is telling you no. Sorry. But your body is telling you yes.
I need you to sing that for me because I feel like that would be much better if I got
My mind's telling me no.
That's exactly what I needed this morning. Classic. There you go.
Who knew? Who knew this entire time he was talking about? Can't say it because this is a family show, Louder. I can't say what Mr. Kelly was singing about, but we all know. We all know. Well, now we all know. Before, when that song came out, we didn't know. And if had we known, we'd have been like, dude, you should listen to that mind. Like, tell that body no, man. Like, get the body out of there. It's not a good situation for you.
No, it is not, Chris America. So I'm excited about this World Series with the Nationals taking some of that spotlight in America now. You got the national team versus the Astro team. I'm excited about watching this one, but it's not on until tomorrow night. So tonight, what are you going to be watching? You going to be watching this Monday Night Football game? Are you excited about this really competitive matchup against the Patriots against the New York Jets? Ooh, it's going to be really close one.
Yeah,
it's going to be
that's
a
what
barn
I've always
burner.
wanted: Sam Darnold versus Tom Brady.
Well, Chris America, this might help you out. This may get you a little intrigued here. Sam Darnold of the Jets, he says that this offense, he says this can be an unstoppable offense. Is that a good thing to say in the week leading up to your matchup against the Patriots, who their defense looks like they can stop a Jets team? I don't know if his words were chosen correctly.
Yeah, especially against a coach that gets very disgruntled over, locker room, bulletin board material type deal. Not a good look.
Yeah. I
Just
feel
keep that
like
quiet. Keep that in house.
the Patriots will be a little extra motivated. Now the Patriots have a little distraction, Chris America. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but there's a new Netflix show starring Paul Rudd. Have you had an opportunity to watch this one?
I saw the preview not last night, but the night before, and I was like, "Yes, Paul Rudd's in a show, and it's a dark comedy. I'm all over it." So haven't been able to watch it yet, but I'm excited for it.
Yep. So it's called Living with Yourself with Paul Rudd. Everybody loves Paul Rudd. He's a funny guy, right? And this is a little bit of a dark, twisted comedy. So I put it on last night. I before bed, I was like, okay, I want to check this out. I saw the first episode, and I think I fell asleep right on the second episode.
Don't lie, you were like, "Ugh, I don't want to watch the Cowboys win a game. I'm turning this off."
Yeah, we'll get to that. And I was watching it, and there's a very peculiar scene in this TV show. And the reason I bring it up now is because I think it has something to do with the Patriots. So during this scene, Paul Rudd, he pulls up, and he was given advice by a coworker to go see this Happy Spa. And he goes up to the Happy Spa, he pulls up, and he's sitting there and he's getting second thoughts. He's thinking, okay, this isn't probably the best idea. This isn't going to help motivate me and get me in a better mood. It's just a Happy Spa. And out walks Tom Brady himself. He looks over, and Paul Rudd's like looking at him, staring at him, admiring him. And Tom Brady looks at Paul Rudd and he says, "Oh, this must be your first time." And Paul Rudd looks at him and shakes his head. Yeah, yep, this is my first time at the Happy Spa. And Tom Brady looks over and he says, "Oh, this is my 6th time." Gets in his little Escalade and then pulls off. And now there is controversy all over the world because some people are saying that this is a Tom Brady nod at Robert Kraft going to the Happy Spa. Huh.
Yeah, it is.
Well played, Tom Brady. He's on top of the world.
Here? I don't get the problem here. Once I found out that the police were a little over exaggerating on the sex, human trafficking aspect of that case, and you realize it's just a normal. These women hey, this is how they make their extra bucks, and this is America, freedom. I think it's hilarious that Tom Brady did that, and that they're able to make fun of themselves, and that Tom Brady's able to make fun of his owner, that he has that kind of relationship with his ownership.
Oh, yeah. Tom Brady at the Happy Spa. I hope this distraction off the field doesn't upset Bill Belichick, and I hope it doesn't hurt their performance because they got the Jets tonight, and according to Sam Darnold, this unstoppable offense is going to be tough for this Patriots team.
Yeah, so Tom Brady's going to have to be ready for a shootout, right?
Oh, yeah. I hope he's in good shape after the Happy Spa. It should put him in a good performing mode, if you know what I mean.
Well, Loudbeard, you were off for a whole week, so we weren't able to talk about this, but I got some bad news.
Uh-oh.
Your Redskins screwed up. They won a game. So for now, you no longer have the number 1 overall pick. This was 2 weekends ago, but I'm happy to announce that after that loss, the loss of the number 1 overall pick, they bounced back this past weekend, and they positioned themselves to stay in that running for that number 1 spot by not scoring any points, but also giving you some sort of moral victory because the San Francisco 49ers didn't have any touchdowns. Or at least I don't think they had any touchdowns. It's a 9-0 score. I didn't see it. So I'm assuming that's 3 field goals. So congratulations, sir, on your 9-0 loss to the San Francisco 49ers and still have a play at least the number 2 overall pick.
Yeah, well, we're still got the Bengals and the Dolphins. This is the challenge. The Dolphins are sitting with no wins. The Bengals are sitting with no wins, and now our Redskins are got that one pesky win, and we're falling behind. We're falling behind, but that's okay. There's a long season ahead of us. The Dolphins look like they got a little fight in them. Yesterday, they gave the Bills a run for their money. Now they ended up losing anyway, which I guess was expected. Just like the Bengals. They lost. So we're still hanging in there. But, yeah, that Dolphins-Redskins game, that was a hell of a barn burner. And the Redskins came out on top. It was great. That was exactly what I wanted. Oh, that's terrible. This is kind of a good weekend in football for us, Chris America. Now, I was out on a sailing ship, or a cruise ship, if you will. So I didn't have a whole lot of access to the world, and I kind of did that on purpose. It's nice to go on a vacation, not have access. I got score updates time to time. My wife did the internet package, which is really terrible on a cruise ship. You pay a lot of money to get really spotty signal, and things don't load properly, and it all sucks. So every once in a while, she would check a score for me. So I got to keep in touch that way, but I didn't get to watch a whole lot. Not only were we at sea and hit all these ports and all this, but they didn't have a sports bar. I've been on cruise ships before where they have like a sports bar where they're bringing in some of the games and you can catch them and see what's going on. But this one had no sports bar. So they really made it challenging to keep up with what was going on in the sporting world. So I really do feel like I'm sitting here in a time vortex. I lost a week of my life, and I'm going back in, even catching up on some of the news that was going on. I saw an article that said Jalen Ramsey makes his debut for the Los Angeles Rams. I had no idea until this morning that Jalen Ramsey was traded. I'll be honest with you. I was in a time vortex,
Yeah.
and I had no idea. So what
Sometimes
happened
that's a
with
good
that?
thing, though.
When did
Sometimes
that
that's
happen?
That happened, I want to say at the beginning of last week. I can't remember if it happened
Unbelievable.
before last weekend, but it's a week-old story for sure.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was like, oh, Jalen Ramsey's on the Rams.
And the
Rams
Jaguars
just,
got a pretty good deal for him. I think it was like 2 first rounds and then another pick later on in the draft. Like the Rams, they're really just they're all in. They're pushing their chips in right now because in the future they're not going to have any salary cap room or any draft picks.
Yeah,
So they're all
they've
in
been doing
today.
this for a while, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think last year started doing it too, where they're like, let's pay everybody, let's trade for who we can, let's go all in,
Yep.
and let's
So
do
They
everything
pushed
we can.
in a couple more of their last chips since they lost the Super Bowl, and they're all in. I don't even know if this Rams team is as good as it was last season. It just hasn't looked like it's been that dominant. You can pick the Rams to win, but then again, I was thinking this yesterday. Is there a team that you can pick outside of maybe the Patriots with confidence week in and week out? Especially now that Patrick Mahomes is injured, and even before he was injured, they were losing 2 games in a row. The Steelers, you think they're going to drop off when they lose Ben Roethlisberger? They've been winning games. The Saints somehow are winning games without Drew Brees. The Cowboys look like they were electric. Then they fell off the last couple of weeks. Now they're back by dominating the Eagles. What is going on here, Loudbeard? I can't figure this NFL season out.
Yeah, it's been kind of a weird NFL season, and I think because of that, I want to do a little quick segment with you. I'm gonna throw you a little football segment. I think we've done this one before. We did it as, are they for real or are you going to forget them? There's something like that, right? I'm gonna off the cuff here because
Yeah.
I do think that right now we have some teams that are sitting there looking good, but what exactly are we getting out of these teams? So, like you said, we got the Patriots up there. We got the Saints who are looking really good. But there's some other teams. So I'm going AFC with you first, Chris America. So I want to ask you, at 5-1, the Buffalo Bills get a win over the Miami Dolphins. They're sitting pretty in the wild card hunt as we speak right now. But are they for real, or should I forget them?
Just forget about them. They're going to be that team that gets a wild card spot. And depending on who they match up, they might even get one playoff win. Because sometimes a team like the Buffalo Bills, they sneak into that wild card spot, and they'll beat like maybe a team from the NFC North that rolls in at 8-8 or 9-7. We've seen that before, right? Where the wild card team is actually better than the divisional winning team that's at home. But then they'll end up playing the Chiefs or the Patriots, and they'll just get rolled out of the playoffs. So you can count them in for making a playoff run. I think they're pretty safe now at 6-1. They only need like 4 more wins, and I think that was the first time they played the Dolphins. So they should be able to
at
beat
least
up
one more.
Yeah.
The Dolphins. Yep.
I'd have to look at the rest of their schedule, but I think you can forget about them. But they're not your grandpa's Bills, or maybe they are your grandpa's Bills when they were
Okay.
actually kind of decent.
All right. Now, the next team I'm going to talk about is out of the AFC South. Now, the AFC South is kind of all over the place, very evenly matched up. All the teams are sitting at either 3-4 or 4-3 or 4-2. But the leader of the pack right now, as it stands, with a win over the Houston Texans on Sunday, is the Indianapolis Colts, the team that I would not have suspected to be leading the AFC South. So number one in the AFC South, sitting at 4-2, Indianapolis Colts, coming off a victory over the Houston Texans. Are they for real, or should I forget them?
Yeah, and maybe I should have used the AFC South division winner as my example instead of the NFC North, because I do think the Ravens are a really solid team and can beat the Bills. So let me switch it up and use the AFC South, right? Number one, the AFC South really, outside of some of the times that the Colts have won, the AFC South really hasn't done much in the playoffs. Like the Texans have gone a few times, and they just lay an egg. The Jaguars, I guess we don't have to worry about the Jaguars because the Jaguars aren't going to the playoffs. So it's really between the Titans, the Texans, and the Colts. And I don't have any faith in any of those divisional winners to be for real. And I don't think the Colts are for real. I think the Houston Texans, God, you look at that Houston Texans team, Loudbeard, and they got the players. They're almost like a poor man's Chargers, where you see the talent on their team, but they just can't make it happen to where they get 12 wins instead of 9 or 10.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. I don't know why it doesn't come together for them. It seems on paper like it should be all gravy.
Yeah, it just doesn't work out. But the answer to your question is no. You can forget the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay. Okay, so this last team, I'm going AFC. I'll go NFC next. But last team in the AFC, I want to ask you. They're sitting at 3-3. Now, they did just have a tough loss to the Green Bay Packers, which the Packers have been dominant. But they're sitting at 3-3, only a half game off that last wild card spot in the AFC at this point in the season. And that would be the John Gruden-led Oakland Raiders. Are they for real, or should you forget them?
Until you just brought them up, I had already forgotten them. And after this conversation is over, I will forget about the Raiders again. So you can forget them. I didn't even realize they were 3-3. That's how much I've forgotten about the Raiders.
Okay, fair enough. I got what you're going with this. Okay, well, we're going to move on. We're going to move on a little bit here, Chris America. We got a lot to move on to in the NFC. And there's one team, this is the team I had to bring up first in the NFC because it is an enigma. Now, they had a bye this past week, so that's okay. They're resting up. They are on a 4-game winning streak, absolutely on fire, and as soon as their quarterback goes down, they look even better. The Carolina Panthers at 4-2. Are they for real, or should I forget them?
I think they're for real, but I don't know what's going to happen when Cam comes back. And some people think that, they're better without Cam Newton. And part of it is mostly because their play calling is way different without Cam Newton. before when they had Cam Newton, they were running Cam Newton all the time. And I don't know how many times I can say Cam Newton in one segment, but I'll just keep it going. But now they're starting to hand the ball off to Christian McCaffrey and let Christian McCaffrey be the workhorse in the running game. And that's what you're supposed to do, right, Loudbeard? You're supposed to have your running back be the heavy carrier of the running game, not your quarterback. So if Cam Newton comes back, which I don't think his shoulder's still right, or he's accurate enough to throw, or healthy enough to throw the football accurately, and he wasn't that accurate to begin with, then yeah, I think they get worse because I think they go back to forcing the ball into Cam Newton running it, and he makes bad throws, and that's kind of where Kyle Allen has just been succeeding. He's been making his throws, and they're not relying on him in their running game.
Right. They're just letting Christian McCaffrey run the offense. Perfect. It's the right way to do it.
Pretty much, yeah. Somebody asked yesterday, like, what do you do when Christian McCaffrey's off? And I'm like, same thing I do every week. I don't have Christian McCaffrey, so my team loses, as in fantasy football.
There you go. That's a tough one. Next team I want to mention is sitting as the only undefeated team in the NFC. They are the San Francisco 49ers, and this isn't your Joe Montana, Jerry Rice San Francisco 49ers. This is your team that wins 9-0 against the Washington Redskins at 6-0. Are they for real, or should I forget them?
You know, I don't know what to say here because if I say one thing, then I can't think of the cornerback's name right now. Why is his name escaping me? The cornerback that used to play for the Seahawks and is now the 49ers.
Richard Sherman. He won't want to shake your hand.
If I say they're not for real, he's going to be like, well, you need to hold on to that because don't change your mind. Don't be changing your mind now that we're good and we're undefeated. But I brought up their schedule before, and their schedule hasn't gotten better. Let's find out this weekend. We talked about my Panthers. Let's find out this weekend if who is for real. Is the Panthers, are they for real? Or are the 49ers for real? I think the 49ers can be for real. I think they can be a really good team. We haven't seen it against great competition yet. So we'll see. Their schedule's getting a little bit tougher coming up because they have the Panthers. Then they'll have the Seahawks. God. See, look, even in the next 4 games, Loudbeard, they play the Cardinals twice. How does that happen? And then you got the Packers, Ravens, and Saints to finish off the season. So we'll see when they go through that gauntlet. When they play the Packers, the Ravens, and the Saints, that's when we'll really know if this 49ers team is for real or not.
I agree with you. Now, I could go in a couple different directions with the next for real or forget them. We got a couple minutes left here. We do have a tweet coming in. Mike Berlin talking about the Redskins, or should say the 49ers not covering the spread against the Redskins. Now he has to throw at the dartboard of doom. Yeah, that was a tough game. 9-0. That's a hell of a game. My Redskins have turned into that team that are just hard to watch. Even as a fan, it's a team that it's just hard to watch where they're going. But you mentioned the Arizona Cardinals, Chris America. I'm going to go to them next. I'm going to ask you, a team that was awful last year gets the number 1 pick overall, and all of a sudden, this offense, they look a little bit more electric with Kyler Murray at the helm. They are now sitting at 3-1, sitting at 500 at this point in the season, Chris America. Are the Arizona Cardinals for real, or should I forget them?
No, you just go ahead and forgive them. Their 3 games that they've won are against the hapless Bengals, the hapless Falcons, and the hapless New York Giants. Let's not. Basically, what the Cardinals have said is we're no longer the worst team in the NFL. We're now like the 6th worst team in the NFL, and that's what they are. They'll come back down to earth when they play the New Orleans Saints, and then they'll get the 49ers, and then maybe they'll beat the Buccaneers. I don't know. We talked about how teams, you can't figure out what teams are good in the NFL anymore. The Buccaneers are one of those teams where you feel like people start thinking like, oh, the Buccaneers are good. And then they come out and, what's his name, throws like 4 interceptions. Jameis Winston throws 4 interceptions in a game. And so then you think they're bad, and then they go and they beat the Rams. And you just don't know who the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are, but the Cardinals will come back down to earth, and they'll probably finish out the season, I don't know, like with 5 or 6 wins.
Okay. And a question coming in on the Twitter line. This I'm going to let you answer, Chris America. Which team is more difficult to watch, the Redskins or the Bengals?
I was watching some of that Jaguars-Bengals game, and that was an ugly game too. Now, they got more scores than the 49ers and the Redskins did. I think it's got to be the Redskins, right? The Redskins got to be harder to watch because the Bengals at least have shown flashes, and they've shown competitiveness where I don't know that the Redskins really have yet this season. I mean, they had two games at the beginning of the year where they gave you false hope and took like an early lead, but then they just squander it and they end up getting pounded at the end.
Yeah, which almost makes it worse. And I think the other issue, like Case Keenum goes out there, the coach is like, that's it, we're riding Case Keenum. And your offense still scores 0 points, and you have a first-round draft pick sitting on your bench who can't even get on the field. It's really it's painful. It's really painful. Like, did we just waste a draft pick? Because it looks like we wasted that draft pick at this point.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you Josh Rosen it, you're not going to get a number 17 overall pick for it. But,
no, you might get like a 4th rounder or something out of him.
But then you sit there and you think, well, has Jay Gruden really shown any type of like ability to make great draft picks in the first round? So whether it was this quarterback or somebody else, it still probably would have been a wasted draft pick.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Oh, well, Chris America, it looks like we're up against the break. You got anything exciting that we're going to talk about on the second side?
Well, my Florida Gators are doing well. The Seminoles are still losing. And the UCF Knights are bouncing back.
Talk about that in a minute. Hey, Kawhi, what are you laughing at, man? This isn't funny. Fantasy sports reimagined. FanDuel, that's what I'm talking about. It is more than just fantasy sports. It's the best way to watch the games, win real cash, and bring the action right to your living room. Just choose a contest, make your picks, watch, and win. And if you go to FanDuel.com/STR today, you can get a $5 deposit bonus. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/STR. Come on, man. This is not a laughing matter. If you've been listening to Scout Team Radio for a long time, you know that myself, Loudbeard, has placed a bet or two in his day. That's right, I've lost the beard bet, I lost the romper bet, but one place I don't like losing is when I bet money, and I can easily do that at MyBookie. That's right, you can go to mybookie.ag, use promo code 12OZSports, and get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Hey, guess what? That is a lot of money. Do it.
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. 12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst.
Hey everybody, it's your favorite Patriot, Chris America, and I want you to listen every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and on replays from 11 a.m. to noon of Scout Team Sports. Listen, George Washington did not cross over the ocean blue in 1492 to defeat the Nazis, so you can listen to the same tired national clickbait sports stories. So once again, tune in to us every single morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and then we replay from 11 to noon. I will see you there, and God bless America.
Welcome back. I know it's been a long week. I'm missing my cues on playing the return music. That is all on me. I'll take full credit for that. Once again, you are listening to Scout Team Radio. He's Chris America. I am Loudbeard. We bring it to you hot and live each and every morning, Monday through Friday, right here on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. We also simulcast on the Full Press Radio Network, and we're a part of the Barn Burner Radio Network. We're kind of all over the place, you know, a little bit of a big deal. Little big deal, if that makes sense. And hit us up on Twitter. Right now we got some hot tweets coming in. I have a serious question. Is Lovey's beard more feared than Loudbeard's beard? That's a good question, Memphis Spence. We're going to get into that. That is a question of the ages. We should have teased that before the break. But we'll be getting on that. And hit us up on Twitter, at Scout Team Radio. You can interact with the show. We've had some hot tweets coming in from Mike Berlon this morning from Craft Brew Sports. Memphis Spence always has his college credit hour each and every weekday on Sports Radio America. Make sure you check him out also. So great tweets coming in from good friends of the show. We definitely appreciate that. And if you don't catch us live, hit up our podcast. Just search Scout Team Radio anywhere you find your podcast. So Chris America, whose beard is more fierce? Or who's more feared? Loudbeard?
Who has
or Lovey
the
Smith?
fiercest beard?
Fiercest beard.
Well, Lovey Smith didn't really have a beard when he first got to Illinois, and now he does. And I think he got it from you. He was here in Tampa, and we met up with him a couple of times, or he saw you from a distance. He's always been a fan of the distance. And he's like, I got to get me one of them beards. And his record has improved with Illinois. Illinois is actually doing fairly decent this year. And when you say fairly decent with the Illinois Fighting Illini, you're basically saying they are winning the national championship. So they go out and they play Wisconsin, and they come out with a 1-point victory with a last-second field goal. Loudbeard, I can't give it to Lovey because you're the master and he's the apprentice. You're the Jedi and he's the Padawan. So how does it feel to know that you showed him the ways of the beard, and now he's using that for success at Illinois?
Wow, I could not have explained that any better myself. That was impressive, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, you're right. I showed him the way of the beard, and it brings a certain power. It brings a certain swag. It brings just something special, something different. And as soon as he got that beautiful beard that he has, I'm not going to take it away from him. His beard is fierce, and it's very impressive. But once he got that beard, all of a sudden things started falling his way. So, Lovey Smith, to you, sir, I nod I tip my cap to him. He is
You give him a gentle beard pull.
Yep, I do. I give him a little beard pull. A little, yep, that's what I do. And he is wow, just great victory, though. Those Fighting Illini, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I was sitting here saying, why is Wisconsin not getting any respect? Why are they getting any respect? And I guess we found out why.
But isn't
they did not?
I was just going to say, isn't that sad, though? Because they've been winning, and they've been having some really good wins, but they weren't getting any respect. And as soon as they have one tough loss by 1 point, all of a sudden it's like all of the validation's out the window. It's sad because that's the system in college football.
Yeah, it is the system, and it's the one that we're stuck with because Wisconsin's still a really good football team, but they don't get the benefit of the doubt like Clemson does. They don't get the benefit of the doubt like Alabama does when they lose to Ole Miss or Clemson when they lose to Syracuse. And unfortunately, Wisconsin's not going to get the benefit of the doubt for this Illinois loss. No matter how much we talk great about beards, Loudbeard, the college football world is just so ignorant that they're going to ignore the beard. They're going to ignore the fact that Wisconsin's a good team, and they're just going to continue to stick in their dumb ways.
Yes. I agree with that. So now here's the other one that's the challenge. So Georgia, they suffer a tough loss last week. Are they going to get the respect? Are they going to get that opportunity?
I don't, unless they beat Alabama in the SEC championship game, I don't think so. because then they followed up with struggling against Kentucky. That game was scoreless through 3 quarters. I don't know where either offense was, and but you know how the talking heads will shape that up to be like, well, it's the SEC and they play defense in the SEC. Just ignore the fact that Florida and LSU were just lighting up the scoreboard like it was a Big 12 game, and we're going to ignore that, and we're not going to talk about where the defenses are. But here we go. Here's a 0-0 Kentucky versus Georgia defense. But
Yeah.
they got a big test in Florida. They cannot come out with that sort of offense against Florida. Florida actually has a quarterback now, Loudbeard. I don't know if you've seen this, but he's not only a quarterback that plays well, but he's also a quarterback that bounces back from mistakes. And Kyle Trask throws an early interception when the game is close, early into the second half, and gives South Carolina a setup to take a quick score and a quick lead. And then he bounces back, though. He leads his offense, and they get an 18-point lead going into about a minute and a half left in the game before the Gators gave up a garbage touchdown. And so what I'm getting at is Georgia's gotta be on their A game. This isn't the same Florida that doesn't have a quarterback anymore. We actually got a guy that can take a football and get it to his receiver where it needs to be.
You're all right. You're right on all those accounts. I'm gonna have you keep talking for just a minute here. I'll be right back. Give me just a second. Just a second.
Oh, you want me to keep talking about how great my Florida Gators are? Well, sir, I will do that because watching them play, I thought I had the old Gators back. They lost in a close one to LSU, and then they followed up with a stinker against a team like South Carolina. And for a while there, Loudbeard, I thought I was going to have to wear a Gamecocks t-shirt that I made a bet with a friend who had bet me that the Gamecocks would beat the Gators. And I thought, man, now I got to own a Kentucky shirt and a Gamecock shirt. Here we go again. Interception at the beginning of the second half. Gators are going to squander this one away. But then Kyle Trask said, don't worry, Chris. I got you, fam. I'm going to come back. I'm going to show you that I'm not like all those other quarterbacks who spurned you before. I'm not Jeff Driscoll. I'm not Felipe Franks. I'm not John Brantley. I'm not any of those guys. I am Kyle Trask, and I got you. And he did. He showed me that he had what it took to take the team on his back and do it. Now, the backside of that,
he's
though,
good
Loudbeard,
too. He's
good.
very good.
But the backside on that, Loudbeard, is we still don't know how to run block. Greg McElroy, I think, was calling the game, and he's one of the most annoying color commentators in the sport. I can't stand him. But he's like, I don't get why they're throwing the ball so much. Well, we're throwing the ball so much because every time we hand the ball off, we get stopped at the line of scrimmage because we can't block. And then every game we've had like one or two big runs, and it makes the announcer think like, oh, look, they got the running game going. No, we don't. We just got lucky. The guy found a hole finally and sprung it loose. It just shows how good our running backs are when our blockers, our offensive line can pick up their blocks.
Yeah, and that is your weakness. And the Gators have been one of these teams that they're good. You definitely see it. And with Kyle Trask at the helm, this is an amazing team, but there is just something missing, right? Like, don't you feel like it's not a complete team? Some of these wins are just they're tough because, like with the South Carolina win, you have to wait till the fourth quarter to really turn it on to get that victory. There's been some tough games, some tough wins, but your record's sitting pretty good right now. But the run blocking, when you go up against some of these tougher SEC teams, it's going to get exposed. This is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, man. Now I think we just got to make it past Georgia, and then we should be on easy street because then we got Missouri, Vanderbilt, some directional school, and Florida State to close out the season. October is really the only month that I have to worry about my Florida Gators. Now that Kentucky's a decent team, I got to worry a little bit in September. So I had that little scare earlier, but most of September I got to sleep on my Florida Gators. Then I got to wake up for October, wake me up when September ends, and then I get to go back to sleep in November. That's how bad college football and college football scheduling is, Loudbeard.
It is. And the Georgia game is going to be a big deal because Georgia's probably wanting to show something, especially after getting that tough loss. So, yeah, I agree with you there. I don't know, man. Vanderbilt, should you be nervous about Vanderbilt?
No.
They did.
I mean,
they
I
did
should
get a nice.
be. I used to be a while ago when we were bad and Vanderbilt was playing us close, but I feel like now we're back towards more being the Gators of old than the Gators of recent, and we should be able to take care of Vanderbilt easily. If we don't, then I got questions for Dan Mullen.
Well, Vanderbilt got a big victory over Missouri.
Yeah, I mean that's another trash SEC football team. So Missouri is one of those teams that I forget exists in the SEC all the time. Even though they made it to 2 SEC championships, it's really no disrespect for Missouri. I'm not trying to say you're not really an SEC fan. Our SEC team, you guys have beaten us probably more times than we've beaten you guys since you've been in the conference. But they're all the way out in Missouri. You never hear about them. Nobody talks about them as an SEC team, and now you're out here losing to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and they had a good season going. I believe they were ranked sitting at 5-1, and just tough defeat to Vanderbilt. You know, sometimes these SEC matchups are hard to predict because these teams go in. They go in to try to prove something. Just like Georgia's going to try to prove something against Florida, prove that they are legit. So that's going to be a tough matchup for Florida, but Florida's got something to prove. They've got to prove that they can bounce back from that tough LSU loss, and I think it's going to be a good matchup next week. That is next Saturday, right? I think that one is game of the week.
Loudbeard, I want to ask you something. We talked about Wisconsin not getting enough respect. Has Ohio State not been getting the respect they deserve? I mean, I know they're number 3, but they've blown the doors off of everybody. And when Alabama's sitting here blowing the doors off of Louisiana Monroe's and whatever other Southern Sun Belt team that they play, we're sitting here, we're praising. I was about to say Jalen Hurts. We're praising Tua. We're praising that Alabama offense, so unstoppable. We're gonna put Alabama versus Tennessee at a 9:00 primetime slot on Saturdays, and meanwhile, Ohio State has just been blowing through their non-conference and their conference schedule. Whether it's Michigan State, Nebraska, Northwestern. They just look awesome right now on offense. Justin Fields going over there to transfer has been a godsend to them. I don't know where they would be had they not been able to get Justin Fields and had there not been like different rules for teams where like a guy like Justin Fields goes to Ohio State, he gets to play right away. He goes to say, I don't know, like Troy, you gotta sit out a year.
Yeah, definitely some benefits going to the Ohio State. Yeah, you're right. They are not getting the respect they deserve. This is a team. This is a name, Ohio State. This is a football school that should always be sitting there at the top and shouldn't have to fight their way up and be given the respect of number 3 when they really should be looked at as number 1. And you know what? It's just college football. It's the way it is. It's the way it's always going to be.
Yeah.
We hope
And
that
even
there
if
would
you
be
don't
some
want to give
change.
them the respect of number 1, they've played a better schedule than Clemson has, and they've gone through their schedule a lot better than Clemson has.
I agree. I absolutely agree. You know, there's always going to be the argument about Alabama, so you got to leave Alabama at 1. And then if you would sneak Ohio State in at 2, that would be a much better place for them. You know, a lot of this stuff's going to shake out. We make a lot over rankings from preseason all the way through the season. We make a lot over it. And maybe we shouldn't so much. But when you only have 4 teams that can make it at the end of the year, rankings mean a lot. And because they've been put up on such a pedestal, we have to talk about it. Now,
and if you're disrespecting them now, it means you're setting yourself up to disrespect them later when a Georgia who has 1 loss barely beats Ohio State with 1 loss. Or not Ohio State, sorry, barely beats Alabama in the SEC championship. And now they're like, well, these 2 teams are SEC teams, so we're going to move them out. We're going to move undefeated Ohio State out of the playoffs. They're
here we go.
Number 3.
We're getting called out on our shenanigans again. I guess I should have fact-checked you a little bit here. So Mike Berlani says, I thought OSU was ranked ahead of Clemson. I think you're right, Mike Berlani. LSU jumped to 2. That was last week. That was like right before I got on the Time Vortex cruise ship.
I gotcha. So Clemson's dropped down to 4 then? I was just looking and I saw Ohio State at 3, and I just assumed that Clemson was 2 because that's where they've been all season long. I didn't realize they slid them down.
Yep, and it's probably rightfully so. I think that's good.
Maybe, yeah. I would say
But do you
LSU's
think
played a
OSU
better
should be-
schedule.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like you said, this will shake itself out, but you don't see people giving Ohio State the praise and, like, watch out for this Ohio State team. They're my favorite to win the national championship this year. You're not seeing that, though, is what my point is.
I think this is part of the Ohio State tradition, though. They look amazing all year long, and then they drop a really awful game. And then that just pushes them right outside the playoff picture. This is what's happened year in and year out, it seems like. And then when they do get in, they have a sloppy playoff game or something happens. So, yeah, I think I think that this is a tough one. Uh-oh, Mike Berlon's coming in. I guess I need to look at the rankings here. He said Clemson is 3 and OSU is 4. OSU should be ahead of Clemson, to be honest with you. And I guess it depends what poll you're in or what
whatever
poll you look
you're
at.
looking at. Again, another stupidity of college football is we got coaches voting, even though coaches never watch football other than their team and their opponent. But somehow they're voting on, I'm a Clemson coach, and I'm going to vote on how good, I don't know, Utah's doing right now. Even though I'm already in bed or I'm still watching game film from our game today while Utah is playing, I'm going to vote as to how good Utah is.
Yes, you are. And you would have no idea what you're voting on, but you'd vote on it anyway.
Now, Loudbeard, you would give me this segment. Are they for real? Forget them. Baylor University, yes, that school. We all forgot about them after they had their little shenanigans with their little sex assault cover-up. But they're back. They're 7-0. Is that a team you want to forget? Or do you think they can actually give Oklahoma a run for their money with that Big 12 championship?
I think they can give Oklahoma a run for their money. I think they're for real. Right now they're showing it on the field, and it's been impressive. And, yeah, that university, it's amazing how quickly that the black cloud over the Baylor University team just disappeared, and now they're back to being just normal football team.
Yep. Just undefeated football team. And I always struggle with how we should deal with that because it's not the current coaching staff. It's not the current players that should be judged on. You know what I mean? They didn't have anything to do with it. So, but still tough.
Yeah. Now, here's somebody that sometimes deserves some judgment. And Memphis Spence tweeted this out at us. He said, look at this. And I saw this story floating around, but Lane Kiffin sends out a tweet, and it is a meme of, we'll just say, the blind referees. And he tags Conference USA on it. He says, hey, Conference USA, check this meme out, and it's blind referees. He gets fined for this, a $5,000 fine, which I'm sure he's like, ooh, $5,000, that's terrible. Thank you for that. But what do you think of a coach calling out a conference for their poor refereeing?
I love it. I wish we did more of it. I try so hard, and then I don't know the rest of that song because I don't really listen to country music. But I really love how it's going with that because these referees, NFL, college, I think they do need to be called out a little bit. And I don't know if it's necessarily their fault either because these are part-time employees who have a regular job Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday, and then they got to get on an airplane and fly out to wherever they got to go, and then they got to get into game mode. Whereas I think refereeing would be better if we made it a full-time position. But they should be called out. And coaches should call out with their frustration. If we can call out players and we can call out coaches, we should be able to call out referees too.
All right. I agree with you 100% on that. We have another tweet coming in. If Baylor, this is from Memphis Spence, if Baylor beats Oklahoma and wins the Big 12, do they get in?
I think that depends, again, just like we talked about with Ohio State. That really depends on what the SEC does. If Baylor wins the Big 12, then that will be the perfect excuse to put in 2 SEC teams that the college football playoff needs. 100%. That's all they're going to be looking for because, let's say Alabama, LSU play each other. One of them is going to probably go undefeated, and the other one's probably going to end up with 1 loss. If Baylor beats Oklahoma, then you know they're going to come up with excuses to why Alabama or LSU, whichever one wins or loses that game, in at the end of October, beginning of November, whenever that game is, that's going to be the excuse they need to put both of those teams into the playoff.
Now, do you think that would create quite a stir if an undefeated Power 5 team gets left out of the playoff?
Oh, it will, because this is the second time they've done it to the Big 12. And this will be the second time that 2 SEC teams have gotten in. And I think the other Power 5 conferences will the money won't be there for them to stop their grumbling. The money will be there, but it won't be enough to stop their grumbling, because they realize that playoffs and national championships equals more brand recognition and more money. And if they're not getting in, then they're not able to increase their brand value.
And I think with all that being said, I want Baylor to go undefeated and get left out, because I'd love to sit back, pop the popcorn, and watch that train wreck.
Because it'll lead to change, man.
Bring on the change and bring on the end of our show.
Great day to be back, man. It felt good.
It does feel good. It's a good feeling.
I wanted to talk a little more entertainment, but we can talk about it tomorrow. I finished The Boys and I finished Stranger Things.
You got it.